Hello and welcome back to day 6 of 2020's Vlogmas series. You heard it right, we are on day 6, so almost a full week. Today we're going to be talking about what is the minority certification, minority owned certification, and why you need it for your contracting business. So a lot of people don't know, but there's a huge advantage when it comes to being certified as a minority, right? So minority could be black owned, Hispanic, Native American, you name it. If you are a minority, you want to get the minority owned certification. Bigger businesses, they really love minorities because, of course, they don't qualify for this certification. But a lot of government contracts have to award 15% of that contract to a minority. 15% is a big percentage when you're trying to find people to fill that void for those specific contracts. Now, there are tons of companies within the private sector and government sector wanting to do business. So you don't just have to use this certification specifically for the government sector. It can also be a benefit in the private sector as well. Now, it is mandatory, I think I just mentioned this, but it is mandatory that government contracts go to at least 15% of minorities when they are awarding, right? So that is why I pointed out that big businesses love minorities because they have to award 15% of that contract to a minority. Now, let's talk a little bit about, does your business qualify, right? Do you qualify for the minority-owned certification? Now, I believe it's $100. They changed a lot of the things within this past year when it comes to the certification, so bear with me on this. But originally when I first looked, it was $100 to apply. So that's $100 to apply for the minority certification. You do have to be a U.S. citizen. Of course, as generically, you do have to own 51% of the company. It also helps if you own 100% of the company as well. Sometimes they will come out and do site visits and interviews with you. Again, this is just a process to make sure that you are who you say you are and your business is what you say it is. You also have to be a for-profit company. So this is not for nonprofit companies. If you are a nonprofit, this certification is not for you because you will not qualify. And of course, you do have to be in the day-to-day operations of the business. Now, the process for processing the minority certification could take up to 90 days. That is why I always tell my clients, prepare before you are ready. And get that certification before you are ready. Excuse me, I'm kind of just getting over from being under the weather, so bear with me here. But the process can take up to 90 days, and that's why I always say that you want to apply before you are ready. You want to apply before you have a bid in your hand that you are wanting to bid on. Now, we talked a little bit about the set-aside contracts that the government has before, but these set-aside I keep bringing it up because it is so important and it benefits us so much that I want you to understand that. You know, when you join the government sector and you get these certifications, you are limiting your competition. You are setting your business up for success and making yourself an asset, right? So you're also setting yourself up to compete with like-minded companies as yourself. Compete with companies who are on the same level as you, and that way you're not feeling like, how am I going to compete with this company that has been in business for all these years, or who has the capacity to take on these big contracts. That is not for you to worry about, and that's what having these certifications and being a part of the set-aside business will help you with. Now, it has the basic requirements, right? So you have to have your DUNS number, you have to be registered within SAMs, have to be within the company size of 500 or less, have your NAICS code, your cage code, the general basics, right? Now, as far as documentation, I'm going to hit you with a couple of things as far as documentation of what you can go ahead and start prepping today to go ahead and get your certification. So you will need, I'm going to read off from my paper because I want to make sure I get them all. So these are just some of the general things that you will need. Again, if you have additional questions or not sure if you have the right documentation, make sure that you put that in the comments. That way I can answer your questions for you. But some of the documents that you are going to need is going to be the certificate of incorporation, your articles of incorporation, stock certificates and ledgers, owners meeting minutes, which when I originally started my business, of course it was just me. I didn't have anybody in my company. So I was like, where am I supposed to get these meeting notes from? So I basically like stood in the mirror and talked to myself and wrote down what I talked about. You know, that, hey, you got to do what you got to do when you need those meeting minutes to get your certifications. But that's a way that you can do it too. You know, I don't mind if you take that. You'll also need your bylaws and amendments. You'll also need all of your agreements. So that's ownership agreements, your operations agreements, and control of businesses. You'll also need your resumes. Resumes, yes, I am talking about a resume that you will apply for a job, but you want to make sure that this is tailored towards your business. You'll also need your driver's licenses, proof of citizenship, your bank signature card, lease agreements, bonding documents if you have bonding. If you do not have bonding, don't worry about that. You'll need proof of insurance. If you do not already have your insurance, that's fine. Just check NA. And then you'll also need canceled business checks for your bank account. Now, another thing that I kind of want to end with is you want to do your research, right? Don't just go off of my videos, you know, be that person who takes it to that next level and go and do your own research, right? Research what agencies are buying. What agencies do you want to work with? What does your customer look like? How are they connecting with other contractors? What is it that they're looking for in contractors? You know, what is the capacity level that you need to be at to get to meet your goals? Set goals for yourself. When I initially started, and I still do this to this day, I set goals at 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and then at that end of the 90-day period, I start over. Now, I have a general goal, of course, that I set for the quarter, for 6 months, and then for the year. But when I do the 30, 90, 30, 60, and 90, that is me setting milestones in between